Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Diana Clarion, and it's been a while since I've seen quite a few of you. A lot of you, it's been a while since you've seen me, and I guess this is part of what this show is about. Um, Let me give you some background here. Let me also have a look to see where we are. Okay, hi, Mrs. Snarky, how you doing? And Mark Caesar is here, and Nick Mo. Not sure I know you, but it's good to see you here. Um, I am a YouTube content creator, such as that is, but you haven't seen me around very much, say these last 6 weeks or so. There's a reason for that, kind of. And, hey, how's my favorite nephew? And that's the subject of this show, really, because things started going downhill, and the further they went, the farther I went in my hole until just this morning. I got the idea, as long as I was feeling like shit, many people ask about major depression. But when they do, they're asking people most of the time who are not in the throes of a major depressive episode. You get to ask questions today of someone who is. And perhaps that might make my answers a little more descriptive, a little more accurate. Um, let you know where it's coming from. And be warned, there may be the occasional bursting into tears, but that's part of what all of this is about. Let me give you some background. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder about 30 years ago. I was diagnosed with a cattail maybe about 2 years ago, but that's something entirely different. Um, Now, that diagnosis did not represent the onset. I know that things had been going on prior to that. It's just that I received that diagnosis, say, around November or so of 1988. Along with that was anxiety and panic disorders. We can get to those. And I've been up and down with those. I have been hospitalized a couple of times in 1989 and in 1996. So yeah, it has got that bad. Um, but I thought I was doing pretty well until I started doing something. And I discovered that I was doing darned well because I wasn't doing anything. And then when I started trying to set up a YouTube channel, trying to be an activist, doing things, that triggered something. And it got pretty darn bad over the last month and a half or so. And this is when people stopped seeing me. Um, and part of this show is to explain where I've been, and this is what's going on. And part of it is I'd like it to be viewer driven. The title is, ask me about major depression. If you folks have anything you want to know, now is the time. From someone who's right in the middle of it, and we can go into various aspects of what's been going on as well. Snarky had asked a little while ago what the difference between unipolar and bipolar, or major depression and manic depression might be, aside from the cyclic stuff. And as far as I can tell, as far as I know, I am unipolar. I have major depression, but not the manic depression. I know people who have manic depression who have had manic depression. Those folks, to my understanding, experience extreme mania, extreme euphoria, extreme high, as well as extreme lows. I myself cycle a bit. It's between feeling like shit and really feeling like shit. I don't have the manic episodes. I don't have the mania. I don't have the risk-taking behavior, the spending sprees, the sexual adventurousness, all that sort of thing that can go along with a manic episode and have gone along with manic episodes of people I've known. Not me. With me, it's just a plain old feeling like crap. The problem with me is that as the years have been going by, I've been feeling more and more like crap. Every time I go into a low, the low gets lower, which is not at all fun. We can go into that, in fact. I'm trying to look over on the side here. Mark Caesar, is there anything we can do at the moment? You know, that's the really funny thing. I don't know. I really don't know. And I was talking to Cirrus this morning, I think it was, about that. He has the same darn thing. And when I will get into a place like this, I don't know the first thing to ask for, let alone the first thing to do. And this is really where the outside help comes in. I'm trying to get set up with therapy, which I suppose is the best thing for me right now. It's just a matter of, getting something that can be paid for, and the place I'm looking at, or the place I'm going to, is looking for a head shrinker. So as soon as they get one, they'll get me in. They've already done the intake. And thank you for the virtual hug, added Olivia, an atheist. That is one thing. Maybe one thing that can help me, that can help depressives across the board, is companionship. The little one over here, this fur face over here, is a really great companion. We have extended conversations. She speaks human, and I've learned to speak cat, but the problem is that you do like the company of your own kind. The problem is, it's not easy to come by that, because in the throes of a major depressive episode, we're not that much fun. We can drive people away when we need people the most. So it's a matter of, I suppose it's a matter of other people understanding what's going on, and us somehow trying to mitigate things so we're not quite as obnoxious, annoying as we could be. I know that's not easy. There's a difference between starting to pull yourself out of it and putting a mask on the whole thing. I've been on the legitimate stage. I can play a role if I have to. But that doesn't help the situation. It only makes it worse. Because you know you're playing a role. And you know why. And that makes it hurt all the more. And sooner or later, you just drop out of everything. And as I say, over the years, it has got worse and worse. I mean, I've been dealing with this 30 years plus. Ooh, let me put that on hold, Snarky. You've got something going here. When you're depressive, are you overly critical of your work, which you say is often your issue, feeling like a failure, not good enough, in spades? Oh, yeah. Now, I'm a perfectionist anyway. You wouldn't know it to look at my output, but I'm very critical of myself under the best of circumstances. But when the depression rears its ugly head, it gets even worse. As Jen says, you feel like an absolute failure. You feel worthless. Nothing you can do is good enough. And even in treatment, very important, you get the feeling that nothing you can do can help the situation. And that is a stumbling block that we have to get over. Those of us who are in this depressive situation. Yes, cycle of doom, definitely. And as I say, you can tell that it's getting bad because there. Okay, overly critical of the work. Let's get to the work. There's a what do we have here? When you have very high expectations and things don't reach those standards, but how to change? Yeah, one way to change is to learn how to do things to your standards. But then when this stuff gets in the way, oh, please, it doesn't work all that well. Um, and the other thing is, when you get like this, or when I get like this, people talk about avoidance, where folks in a depressive episode will avoid doing anything because they can't. They can't bring themselves to it. Or they don't find any reason to do it or any joy in doing it, to where work becomes a chore, breakfast becomes a chore, taking a shower becomes a chore after a while. And one of the things I notice with myself is, with me, it's not so much an avoidance as, I don't know what to call it. I want to do these things. Trying to do them, however, or even thinking about doing them, is an overwhelming thing. It immediately makes me tired, sleepy, in fact, yawning. I've noticed this more than once. And what's really strange about it is that's also a symptom of anxiety with me. Nadine can tell you about that. When I started having a panic attack around her at one point. Um, so yeah, I don't know how many others are like this, but with myself, I've noticed and there's something else, and I've just noticed it. Let me make a note of it. With doing things, I, at any rate, want very, very much want to do these things. Trying to do them just lays me out. Um, Takes the energy right out of me. Makes me tired to the point where I really can't do a damn thing. How to get over that, I have no idea. But here's something else I just noticed, and it's taken me 30 years to notice this. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've been referring to myself in the third person when I say that one can do these things, or where I'm actually referring to I can do these things. It's a separation of the self. The personality goes away, where you are not you anymore when you are in one of these depressive episodes. You just, I'm not sure what, decoration on the side or something that has no function. The personality is gone. And I don't know why I hadn't noticed that already, because I'm sure that it's happened in the past, but there's something else again. And maybe it's a way to identify when someone's going into an episode, which may be useful for those close to them. Yeah, it is really, I suppose, easier to talk about it when you disconnect. It was supposed to say something, not sometime. Oh, okay, Nadine, I see what you're talking about. Okay. I'm happy it doesn't happen to you that often as well, Nadine. Um, yeah, with me, there's the other problem. With I am cyclic, but not in a bipolar manner. I also have seasonal affective um, symptoms that go along with this. And now is the time of year when everything's going to shit. Because the days are getting shorter, the light's getting lower, less light, and I suppose I'm going to have to find my happy light. It's happening earlier and earlier every year. Um, so that's something else I have to talk to people about, medical people. Um, let me see what we've got going here. Hi Hans, how you doing? Um, oh my, the Godless Island. Matt, my favorite nephew, says a depressive episode for me is usually close when I become chatty. I'm never chatty, but want to stave off the depression, and I try to become overly outgoing. It never works. Yeah, I think we can find possibly a common ground, if you will, in that you get out of your normal self. Um, your self-expression changes. You, Matt, are not the outgoing kind. You become very outgoing. I'm the life of the party, supposedly, and I'll go into my hole. Um, I almost wish that I'd become even more the life of the party, because I'll tell you what, when you go into your hole, it gets so easy to go deeper into that hole until you're finally not getting out of it. Um, a lot of people will sleep a great deal when they are in a depressive state, and I will do this. I would do it in the past because either A, you're not feeling the pain while you're asleep. Or B, you might have a really nice dream, and that would be something nice happening to you. Unfortunately, I've started crying in my dreams now. I don't know what's happening. This episode is the first time I've noticed that. And I made a post about it on Facebook, my personal Facebook account, as I have my own that only my friends see, and then I have my public page. And I commented how I'm even crying in my dreams. Great. So I don't know what to do about that. Oh, Nick Mo. I love that question. Have you been on medication for a long time? I have been on every antidepressant known to man and a few that aren't that man doesn't know about yet. Um, I went on nortriptyline in 1989, and I have been on at least 20 different antidepressants. They work to some degree for a while, then they quit working. Or you find a really, really, really good one. Back in 2013, I'm sorry, 2012, I was put on mirtazapine, brand name Remeron, which is the best antidepressant I've ever been on. It's wonderful. It alleviates the depression so wonderfully, and it also gives me nightmares. Isn't it great? It's almost like the cure is worse than the disease. And every antidepressant has side effects of varying levels of annoyingness, if you will. Um, for the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, anorgasmia is a big one. For mirtazapine, nightmares. And in my case, the nightmares are multi-level. I don't know about anybody else. If there's anybody out there in the audience who has been on mirtazapine, I'd love to talk with you because I'd love to learn about your experiences with it. I don't know if anybody's experienced anything like this or not. Even when I was a child, I would have what I called multi-level dreams, where you would be dreaming, you would wake up and find yourself in another dream, and then you would wake up and you're finally in the waking world. On mirtazapine, I'll be in a nightmare, and it has the all the trappings of sleep paralysis as well. I'm screaming, "Someone wake me up, please!" And I'm clawing and trying. It's always trying to claw my way up to get out of this nightmare. And finally, I get out of the nightmare, only to find I'm in another level of the nightmare. Crawl up out of that, claw up out of that, into another nightmare. Do this 5 or 6 times. No, I'm not kidding. 5 or 6 levels until I'm finally in the waking world, and by then, I'm sweaty, exhausted, and I don't know what to do. If anybody out there has had experiences like that, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to get an idea of what other people's experiences are like, because I'd like to talk to people who design the the medications. Talk to them about that. What do we have here? Um, okay, Nick Mo, you're kind of against antidepressants. Um, I'm not so sure I agree with that. I mean, they're not the greatest. They can be annoying, but there are those times when you absolutely need something to at least get yourself kick-started in the right direction. Now, I know that it's like it's like throwing an entire bucket of paint when all you wanted was just to draw a little circle, but it's the best we've got so far. And I don't know anything to do other than that. And yeah, snarky, that's exactly it. They're not perfect, but they do work. The problem with medications is it's so difficult to find the right one. As I say, in the last 30 years, I think I've been on at least 20 antidepressants, and it's trial and error. Does this work? Does this work? And that makes me wonder if there are many, many causes of depression, or are there many, many depressions, different types, or is it all um, entwined with the circumstances you're in life, or is it a combination of all of it? This is one of the things I wanted to study when I went back to uni. When I was 35 back in 92, I went into the neuroscience program and I wanted to study affective disorders. I wanted a PhD. And, well, guess what took me out, kids? That was that hospitalization in 96, right after I graduated. How do you like that? Um, oh, I see. We've got, oh my, oh my. Okay, yeah, carbamazepine alters brain function as well. I think, I'm trying to remember if that is actually used in some cases as a psychotropic. I cannot remember, and I'm just too damn lazy to look it up, Jen. Um, yeah, Matt, this is a really good one. Thank you for mentioning it. Who was it I was talking to very recently about this? Many depressed people believe they are cured when they exit a depressive period, and it could be a couple of years, it could be longer than that, and all of a sudden it hits you again. Um, yeah, this is one of those things. I hate to say it, you're never really cured. You might be in remission, but there is no absolute cure the way there is for appendicitis. You can't surgically alter something and you're all fine, unfortunately. Um, I wish it were possible to do that, but when you go 30 years without a depressive period, then you claim you are cured. So Matt, you've gone 5+ years. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'm trying to think now. I went from 1990 to 1996, so I did about 5.5, 6 years between hospitalizations. So yeah, I know that feeling, and as I say, it was even then it was trying to do something, and with me, I'm always the one who goes overboard, trying to do everything. When I went back when I went back to uni, I could have been done in 2 years. No, not me. I wanted to take every course the department had, and that probably contributed to burning myself out, if you will, and then the depression had a chance to creep in. What do we have here? Where's my pen that I can use as a pointer? Ow, honey, those are sharp. Um, this kitty is reaching, yeah, with her paws, and at the end of the paws there are these things called claws. Wait a minute. Okay, that's an interesting. I'll have to look that. I'll have to look that up, Jen. Um, Vivance for ADHD. Yeah, it's brain chemistry, definitely. Um, Mindfulness training. This is something I've heard of and have never really got into. I would like to explore that at some point to see what it is and how it works. Maybe this time around, once I get into a round of therapy again, I can do that. Hey, Secular, how you doing? Um, don't worry about being late. I mean, I'm amazed I actually made it here because in periods like this, I'll try to do something and then end up dropping it. The background picture I've got going here, I was trying to find something that could describe how it feels to go into a period like this. That was the best I could find. There's a problem with it, though. It's too optimistic. There's light at the end of that tunnel. I mean, when you're in a situation like this, there is no light. Being nothing more than being aware of the operations of your brain. That's interesting. I'm going to ask about that. Uh, the claws of the vase, definitely. Wow, day 90, Matt. I remember you mentioning day 76. And here's another thing that happens. Let's make it all about me again. Time is altered in a depressive period. Um, Weeks can go by and you don't realize that they have. Um, so 16 days went by and I didn't know it. You were complaining about day 70, or 14 days. You were complaining about day 76, and now it's day 90. Yeah, where did that time go? It went, and I never noticed it. Um, oh, Jen. Oh, my word, Jen. Yes, absolutely. Happy things make you more sad. Yeah, and that's when it really, really, really gets bad. Um, the FSB, the female slimy bastard, would give me a really hard time about my major depression. It would be, why don't you just snap out of it? Why don't you think about the summer cottage you went to as a kid? Why don't you do something happy? And it's like, look, lady, you don't get it. Any of that just makes it worse. I don't know how it does it, but it does it. Um, well, thinking about the summer cottage, I know how that made it worse. I mean, it's thinking about something I would never have again, never see again. Um, and then I got to see it a few weeks ago, and that made things even worse, and that probably contributed to where I am right now. The end of July, my cousin took me out there for a last look because it was being sold. And for all I know, that contributed to the downslide. So I see your point, Jen, definitely. Um, oh my. Berating you for allowing your son to be medicated for ADHD. Yeah, well, okay, am I ever concerned about the long-term effects? I guess not much because I've been on one antidepressant or another for 30 years. Um, I don't know that I suppose there are some long-term effects, but I don't know that they are that significant, at least in my case. Um, I can still use my brain pretty well. I mean, there are people who are worried that, their mode of thinking is going to change and they're not going to be what they were. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? In a way. Um, I mean, I've had other long-term changes from other things that have affected me more. The long-term effects of HRT, of hormone treatment, that has been more significant over the last 10 years than 30 years of antidepressants. So no, I'm really not worried that much. I mean, what changes do come seem to be for the better. The only problem I'm having right now is another reason I'm probably in this bad shape is I really haven't been taking the Remeron because of the damn nightmares. So yeah, it's no help when you cannot take an antidepressant because it only makes things worse. Um, Become reliant upon the medication. I've not noticed that with an antidepressant. I don't know if anyone else has. Is there anybody out in the audience who is a depressive who has felt anything like that? I'd like to talk about it. Um, Antediluvian Atheist, thank you for coming by. Um, and thank you for the virtual hug. You take care, and it was glad to see you. I gave you subscribed to you, and within a degree of luck, you'll be doing some work in future that I can get to see. Um, okay, what do you have here? A long-term effect to be neuroplastic change toward a more positive thinking pattern. Some people go off meds for years, a while with minimum issues, more study needed. I don't know. That'll be interesting to look at. Oh, Skeptical Jed, how you doing? You sold Remeron for about 10 years ago. Yeah, it's not an SSRI. I believe it's an atypical, isn't it? Um, okay, Remeron really hasn't caused weight gain with me. I'll tell you what has caused weight gain: quitting smoking. That's what put 25 pounds on me in the last month. Um, But I don't know. Maybe the Remeron was giving me a hard time with trying to lose because I hit a wall at 205 and couldn't get below that. Um, Thank you, Snarky, for being around, for being in the audience here, and Matt as well. Um, I have to look in on your job that you're going to be doing, your stream. And yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I'm breaking the rule, Matt. I'm, promoting your stream, so don't jump on me. um, well, thank you, Mark. It's been, let me see now. I quit on the 5th of August, and it's 13 September right now. So, so far so good. And that after 49 years of smoking. So, Oh my, so the Cymbalta screws with your liver, Jen. Not fun. Um, and Mark, I don't know. Well, I guess you can say that the quitting smoking takes willpower. Um, People have been after me for years to quit, and I never really did anything about it. But there was something that came up recently, a couple things, and yeah, I actually wanted to quit, and that's what's doing it this time, I think. I like it. You got the date, time, and everything on that. It's perfect. Um, with me, I'm trying to think now. I think it would have been the 5th of August at midnight. Yeah, I put the pipe down for the last time. Hi, Sue Lynch. Trying to think. Have I run into you before? Um, and please don't feel bad if. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing here? Yeah, I guess I have run into you before because I'm subscribed to you. And please don't feel bad that I'm asking because one of the things that goes um, when you're in one of these episodes is the memory. The memory just goes right down the shitter, and you can't remember from 1 minute to the next, let alone one day to the next. So you started at 14 and you're 60. I started when I was 12, and I quit at 61. So yeah, we're pretty much on the same schedule. Yeah, secular. I think well, one of the things that got me to quit smoking, I joined a gym, and you know, going to a gym and smoking are kind of at cross purposes, so I figured I'd have to drop one of them. I had just picked up the gym, so I guess it was smoking that would have to go. And well, my doctor's been after me for 10 years, quit smoking. And I'll be honest, I got turned down recently, and one of the reasons cited was that I was a smoker. Um, the other two reasons were 18 years and 2,400 miles. I think that was a little more significant than the smoking, but yeah, Hans, I know how that works. It's really interesting, and I know we're getting off topic here, but maybe it has something to do with depression as well. When I put down the pipe and said, okay, that's it, no more, the first few days, um, I felt the muscles in my arm start to move the arm and hand toward the side of the keyboard where the pipe would always live. And I would feel myself reaching for it as if it were already lit, just picking it up to take another drag on it. So it was a habitual thing. The cravings came later. I'm still dealing with those. They're not quite as bad as they were, say, 3 weeks ago, but yeah, under stress, you get the craving. But those first few days, it wasn't, I want this. It was, no, I'm just reaching because that's what I always did. And maybe there is a bit of that behavior going on in a depressive episode. Something else to look at. Yep, turn down over smoking. No, how was it described to me? Kissing a smoker is like licking a dirty ashtray. I can see how that works. mm. You can smell a smoker at 10 feet. Yeah. Tell you what, so one thing I noticed, um, I kept the pipe for a while because I had paid $40 for the damn thing. It was in my desk drawer. And every time I opened that drawer, I knew that pipe was in there because it hit the nose. And boy, was it annoying. Finally threw it out. Because I'm not going back to it. I know I'm not going back to it. So it's not a $40 waste. Because I won't be replacing it. But yeah, you open that desk drawer and it was, oh my word. I have not reached that point, Mark. Perhaps I will. Uh, being disgusted when you walk past a smoker. Um, perhaps I'll get there. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't get out of this apartment very much, so walking past a smoker doesn't happen very often because I don't walk past anybody. Yeah, Jen, definitely works that way. Yeah, the aroma of an ashtray is there's a certain quality to it, and it's very hard for me to come up with a word to describe it. I mean, I can say acrid, which helps describe it, but it's not. It doesn't cover it quite as well as it could. Um, Jen, no, wait a minute, Jen. You're not old enough to have done anything for 25 years. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Uh, not a day over 29, Jen. Oh my. Hi, Purple. Getting food, that's a good thing. Food is always good. And that's one thing I don't have to worry about losing interest in when I'm in a depressive mood. Well, not so much interest. It's just that you reach for the food and you keep reaching for the food. Um, but we'll have to see what happens now because I'm outgrowing my clothing. I mean, I've topped 225 at this point, and that's not fun. I mean, I remember 185, and I loved it there. And yeah, that's 40 pounds ago, kids. Okay, Nico, or Nikmo, when you know what a major depressive episode is, your concern is being on them for years at a time. Being on the antidepressants for years at a time, or the depressive episodes for years at a time. Both have happened. Um, I know I was in a depressive episode for over a year at one point. How tall am I? It depends on the time of day, Mark. When I get out of bed, I'm about 5'9", and later on in the day, I'm closer to 5'8". And yeah, it actually happens. The intervertebral discs compress a little bit, and I lose about an inch during the day. But and you know what else? Ooh, that's something else that I hadn't thought of. Thank you for reminding me. I've noticed this way back. In a depressive episode, I'm a lot shorter than I am. Now, did that make any sense? Yes, it did. When I'm depressed, when I'm feeling depressed, I feel shorter, physically shorter. But when I'm in a good mood, when everything's going well, I'm up to every one of my 69 inches, and then maybe more. Very, very interesting. I don't know anybody else has described it that way. If there is, I'd like to talk to them. But yeah, my mood affects my height. Yeah, pretty much, Jen. Um, I mean, you may have to watch it with some of the high-powered painkillers, but even then, I'm not sure. Um, I don't know if it is possible to become, for example, um, what is the heroin replacement, for fuck's sake? I cannot remember it. Um, it's also used as a high-powered painkiller. And I know someone who claimed to have become addicted to it when taking it for pain, but then I wasn't sure whether that person needed that medication for pain. Okay, yeah. Hi, Faye! Yeah, everything affects mood, definitely. And okay, so you're another one. Methadone. Thank you, Jen. That's it. Methadone. Yeah. Someone was allegedly feeling chronic pain, and it's a really, really long story about why I say allegedly. Maybe I should do a show on it someday. Um, but nothing was working, nothing was working, nothing was working. They finally put her on methadone, and she claimed that she became addicted to it. And I don't know if that works or not. Um, I've heard that if you're using it, if you're using a painkiller to kill pain, you don't necessarily get addicted to that. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or not. Um, there's so many urban myths out there. I really don't know. Um, it's great to see you here, Faye. Really, really, really. Um, Anybody have, what do we have? Yeah, purple, definitely. Yeah, you carry yourself differently. And feeling taller actually helps me carry myself, helps the posture. So it feeds back on itself happily in a good way. Okay, if in pain you can be addicted. Okay, I wondered if that was the case. Yeah. Okay, Mark. That isn't exactly the case with the person I was talking about, but it might be close. Um, yeah, this was a domestic partner of mine years ago. Um, Now the new folks that have come by here, if you got any weird shit to ask the depressoid over here. Yeah, I know we got off track with the smoking and all that. Uh, and wow, we're coming on an hour. That's amazing. Um, I will say, if you guys don't mind, um, this show I'd like to keep to 60 or 90 minutes. I am open to an after show if anybody wants one. Um, so if you guys want to let me know in the side chat if you'd like an after show after this main show is done, that is possible. That can be accommodated. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, you new kids, any weird questions to ask the weirdo over here? State of vet requires blood I don't. What? What's this? I'm the one who's confused here, Faye. What is a state of vet? Is that what am I missing? Anyway, oh, gotcha. State of Vermont. Okay. Dummy over here should have thought of that. Okay. Well, this is, when the brain doesn't work right. Um, yeah, I see we're down to about 10, so, oh, soon. I was trying so hard. Really. I was trying to set a weird record. Oh, don't you just love that autocorrect? I don't know, kids. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I know where a few people went. That's Jen and Matt, and a Diluvian. That's three of them. I'm looking here to see if there's anything I missed. If there are any questions you guys had that I totally missed. I hope I am being of some use. I hope that this is useful in some way. Um, have I had my thyroid levels checked? Not to my knowledge, not to my memory, because that can make depression worse. Something to talk to my doctor about, who, incidentally, I will be seeing tomorrow. This is, well, it's probably bad anyway. This is I had bought a bottle of iced tea way back, and I had bought 7 more, and I had kept the bottles, and I make pitchers full of iced tea mix and pour the iced tea into the bottles and stick the bottles into the defibrinator. It's a lot cheaper than buying the bottles one at a time, let me tell you, especially when I'm on my bike and want to keep hydrated. So I've got the bottle on the rack on the down tube, and I just reach down there and well, thank you, Mark. Definitely, thank you. And one thing to check. Faye, you know me. Uh, diet habits. I eat once a day, and it's usually crap. Sleep habits. I have no circadian rhythm. Light requirements. Definitely not. Yeah, I'm doing everything wrong. Any thoughts on what caused the chemical imbalance? Ooh, I really don't know. It could be any number of things. There could be a genetic component, but I don't know what my genetics are. I am an adopted child. Don't know my biological parents. Um, I'm told that bio mom was a 23-year-old student nurse when she gave birth to me, which probably means that bio dad was an intern and I was conceived in a medical supply closet. But other than that, I really don't. I don't even know that. Um, However, the pieces of shit that adopted me and my sister were horribly abusive. So it's possible that environment could have had a cause. When you're told in no uncertain terms that you're a piece of shit throughout your childhood, it kind of sticks. So who knows? Um, yeah, purple. Um, yeah. Um, I have thought about 23andMe. I have, Jen. What I don't have right now is the hundred and some odd bucks to do it. If I manage to have some extra cash, I think I'd like to do it. I think I really would. Just for shits and giggles. Because I'd like to see if there are any weird alleles in there. Because there were some parlor tests, if you will. You know, those things that you do in freshman bio to turn up uh, recessive alleles. And I was turning up so many recessive alleles that I joked in class that I must have been a product of incest, which I turned a few heads with that one. Um, but yeah, 23andMe might be an interesting thing to look at as soon as I get the cash for it. Um, but yeah, Nikmo, as far as the imbalance, it wouldn't surprise me that it was nature and nurture because the brain is very, 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 very plastic, especially in the younger years. So, yeah, you set up a pattern ages 0 through 5, and very likely you're going to carry it, throughout the rest of your life. Oh my. Thyroid levels, 23andMe. Am I missing something? Did anybody mention something that I hadn't covered? Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get on my spinner going here. I see way back here, Nick Mo. Maybe one day they'll discover a test that can determine which drug will work the best for someone. Oh God, I wanted so much to be the person who was working on finding that. As I had said, back in '92 when I went back to uni, my intent was to uh, was to study for a PhD, and unfortunately that did not work. Blonde, blue-eyed descendant of pilgrims who married a part Aboriginal. Oh my! My kids are the only kids in my side of the family tree to have brown eyes. Okay. Yeah, secular. Thank you. It's a matter of getting me out of my shell enough to talk. I mean, there are people who have offered, um, and it's just getting me out of the damn shell. And I think it works that way with a lot of us, where you crawl into that hole and you crawl deeper and you feel alone and not worth human company, so that makes you crawl into the hole even deeper and feel more lonely. And it's that vicious feedback cycle that's going on. Um, so it's a matter of breaking that. And there comes that thing I was describing. And I know you weren't around for it, secular. I don't know if anybody, if you know about this, the other guys in the chat, I'll remind you again. Um, with me, when I try to do something, for example, if I try to get out and talk to somebody, I immediately become tired to the point of sleepiness. And I'll be yawning in the whole bit and actually falling asleep. It's like avoidance behavior on steroids. And I wish I knew how that happened, and I wish I knew how I could break that. Because even the thought of doing something can do that to me. Um, and that's an important thing to break, because if you're going to be down for the count simply by thinking of doing something about the situation you're in, you're never going to get out of it. I love it, Jen. Can I steal that one? Oh, my depression is like a peanut M&M. You feel a bit nutty under some sweetness, but are protected by a hard shell. Oh my, that is so. I'm stealing that. If I can manage to find. Oh crap! I don't have. I don't have a way into my text editor, so I'm just gonna have to. Okay, I'm gonna open it with gedit, and I'm gonna paste, and I'm gonna save. Yay! All right. Now I can bring everything back up. How do you like that? Any thoughts on what causes the chemical imbalance? As I say, it could be nature, it could be nurture, it could be a combination. I wouldn't be surprised that nurture was a lot of it, because the slimy bastards they were some slimy bastards. Um, definite attribution there, Jen. Definite. Um, okay then. Yeah, as far as things are going, seems to be slowing down a little bit. Um, is there anybody who would like to continue this in an after show, or shall we? Oh, what do you have here? Oh, my secular. Did you get that out? Did you get that from me? Because yeah, that's one of my favorites. C'est la vie, c'est la guerre, c'est la mort. Um, oh yeah, I see it in there. My saying. Okay, thank you. Because I had heard people say "c'est la vie, c'est la guerre," and of course, the only thing I could think of after that, was dying. So "c'est la mort." Uh, yeah, that's about the only French I know. Depression originates in the stomach. I've never heard about that. Do you know where that? Do you know where that's cited? Because I'd like to look that up. I mean, it's. Don't take offense when I say it. It sounds a little wacky to me, but then sometimes the wacky stuff turns out to have a point. Um, yeah, but we've been at this. We've been at this for about an hour and 10. Um, so we could start to think about closing it. Leaky gut. Okay, what is leaky gut? I've got to look that up, Jen. See what that is. Leaky gut syndrome. Huh. Hypothetically, medically unrecognized condition. Unlike the scientific phenomenon of increased intestinal permeability, claims for the existence of leaky gut syndrome as a distinct medical condition come mostly from nutritionists and practitioners of alternative medicine. Oh, if it's coming from David Wolf, I'm not going to pay much attention to it. Um, Proponents claim that a leaky gut causes chronic inflammation throughout the body that results in a wide range of conditions, including chronic fatigue, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, migraines, multiple sclerosis, and autism. I think the first thing I would look for would be a mechanism. Um, that would be important to me. But yeah, I don't see how gastric inflammation could screw with the brain wiring. But that's just me. Hi, Laura. Oh my, yeah, it was. I was just checking around and seeing if we had reached the useful lifetime of this chat here. Um, but I will say one thing about it, and I'm going to thank you guys in the audience for this. Um, it has got me a little bit out of the shell. It has got me doing something, and I guess that's good for something. Um, because I've been meaning. You can ask Peter. I've been meaning to have a live chat for the last 2 weeks, and this whole depressive episode thing has been getting in the way, and finally doing something. I don't know, maybe that's a start. Stomach is the second brain. It can affect the brain. Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to be helping someone else. That's one of the problems that I run into, and I suppose some other people do. Uh, I'm rather isolated because, well, number one, I'm poor and I'm old. Um, I could take that and run with it, Faye, but I'm going to be a good girl. Uh, oh, man. Yeah, but fun costs money, Faye. That's the problem. Um, yeah, listen to me talk about costing money after I just spent $1.50 on the machine that I'm using to put this out. Uh, Eat some peanut M&Ms. Jen, are you trying to get me over 240? Because once I start on peanut M&Ms, I don't stop. You know, a 24-ounce bag, it's gone, kids. Yeah, that's I when I do something, I just go ahead and do it. I don't hold back. Actually, though, peanut M&M. You know what might not be bad if I could find some wasabi peas. I haven't had wasabi peas in a long time. Depressed book size comment. I'm not sure I remember that one, Laura. Um, Maybe you and Jen were talking about something. Yeah, my problem is I don't know how to be. I don't know how to go into a rage. Well, I do know how to go into a rage, and I don't like to do it because I learned all too well that if you do that, it comes back to bite you in the arse. I mean, even when you go into a rage against someone who deserves it, like a Microsoft tech, you know? Oh man, licorice. Oh, what is it about the black licorice that's supposed to kill you? Um, was that just one batch or something, or is it something totally bad about the whole thing? I haven't had black licorice in ages. Red licorice, yeah. Yeah, secular. I sprung for a copy of Windows 7 a while back, and it wouldn't go through the install. I wasn't getting a cursor. And I mean, the first thing that this tech person supposed tech person on the other side of the phone was suggesting was a corrupted file image, and I should pay $10 for another one, and I knew that wasn't it. Uh, Found it by myself. 7 doesn't have USB 3.0 drivers, and my USB keyboard and my USB mouse were plugged into USB 3.0 ports because that's all that's on the motherboard. There are no 2.0 ports on that motherboard. Would have liked to have known that before I sprung for the Windows 7, because I really didn't want to buy Windows in the first place. Wait a minute. Licorice lowers blood pressure. I need to create my fun. Though, and maybe it's something wrong with me when I say this. Uh, Fun is always more fun when you're funning with some other, when you're funning with some other fun person, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, at least that's what I got when I was looking stuff up, secular. That the drivers just weren't there. Yeah, 8 will install. The only problem is that the copy of 8 that I have, um, the guy at Office Depot who sold it to me assured me that it was a clean install copy, and it wasn't. It was an upgrade. So that thing is, going to go periodically. And for the love of Saint Gulk, I really didn't want to buy Windows in the first place because I bet you couldn't tell, but I despise Windows. Blood pressure over 200. Hans, your grandmother's blood pressure was over 200 and her head didn't explode. Oh my. You know what, secular? It's it's where I come from because, like I said, I was a code monkey in a previous life. I love my Linux. I really do. It's just that there are one or two things that are really difficult to do under Linux because you either can't find the things you need to do them, or you cannot find the instructions written in a sane manner, to use the thing to do it. And the only advice you can get is from wind blows, and that's what was happening to me, and that's why I broke down and bought 7. Ay caramba! My doctor gets all over my case when what is it? The high number is what, the systolic? Yeah, when my systolic gets over 130. And grandmom over there had a 200 diastolic? Holy shit. That amazes the heck out of me. What I really like about Linux is I can get under the hood. I can screw around with it. It's really easy to write code for Linux because you don't have to pay $600 for header files. Like I said, I was a code monkey years ago, so that was, what I did. That's just something else that dropped by the wayside. Well, Linux is getting easier and easier to use as the years go by. But don't take that as, me trying to force it down anyone's throat. Oh my, let me get the glasses off here. I am amazed. Came close a couple of times, but I'm amazed I didn't burst into tears. Maybe I have to thank you guys for it, keeping my mind off it. But I want to thank you guys for sticking this out. I mean, for thinking this interesting enough to actually listen to what the hell I had to say. Oh, what the heck is this now? I took my glasses off, so I have to put them back on to read. Zorin. I don't know Zorin. Designed for users coming from Windows. I've been using Ubuntu for quite a few years. I think I started with version 6, and I'm on version 16 now. Excuse me. And before Ubuntu, it was Slackware. That was when it didn't even have a GUI. Everything was command line. Okay, now purple. That's where I find the Linux to be really great. I haven't paid $1 for anything I've used under Linux, including the Linux itself. Download Ubuntu for free. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff that you don't get with Windows. Zorin has pre-configured wine. I'm going to have to look into that. I've got an extra partition on the old machine. Well, I've got an extra partition on the new machine I could try running. Yeah, I'd like to get 11 years out of these. I have 2 computers. The older one I built in 2015. The only reason I went to the new one is when I built the older one, I was not thinking about video. And it's horribly underpowered for video. I mean, had I not become a YouTube content creator, I'd still be running on that old one. but the new one I built 3 weeks ago, and I'm still getting it set up and going. Oh my, that's icky doo doo, Jen. So that's why you're doing all your videos on your phone. Now, what I don't get, Jen, is how you do editing, or do you edit on the fly, as it were? Well, you take care, Laura. Thanks for coming by, really. Um, and I'm gonna try to keep myself in front of the audience. Uh, I was telling Suris this morning that I hadn't put out a video in what 6 weeks or some shit like that, and that's not great for the ratings. And there was a period where I was hemorrhaging subscribers, and I think I had lost about 20. And when you have under 200 subscribers, 20 subscribers is significant. And it was all my fault because I wasn't putting anything out. So okay, maybe if we can start doing something about that. And I've got a couple topics that I'd like to put out that actually are not atheist related, which would be really great. I mean, it would be a change of pace for me. Well, I had the LGBT stuff going on the Sunday stream, which seems to have died, but um, check out your last video. I definitely will. Definitely. Yeah, I've still got to learn how to do a lot of this stuff. I'd like to do things better than I'm doing them. And it's a matter of learning how and then getting it done right. Okay, Jen. So is he getting if you want to call it college credit at the tech school? That would be great. Well, thanks, Purple. I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to do more of the LGBT. Because I mean, let's face it, I'm LNT, so oh well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Maybe there's a little bit of B in there because I did fall for a guy 10 years ago. Yes, I would like to do more on that, and I may have some topics in my possible topics directory. But yeah, that's got to be something because I really want to get my face out there and advocate for us. Um, because we're getting stepped on, and this is not a good thing. This what do you want to say? The administration is not nice to us. So certification, wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, Purple, the alphabet keeps getting longer, so eventually there's going to be something in there. Um, I'm trying to remember who else it was. I mean, I started doing the LGBT, QRSTU, VWXYZ, and I'm trying to remember if I heard Kate do it, Bionic Dance, or if it was somebody else I heard do that, and I burst into laughter when I heard it because oh God, I do that too. Um, That amazes me, Sue, because um, I would think that the U.S. was the most backward of all of the so-called first world countries, and here in some ways we're not. Holy heck! Seriously. Um, you learn something new every day, I guess. And I have not had much of a problem here in the U.S., and I'm lucky in that respect, I suppose. Um, I just feel for the people who have to be in deep stealth, uh, who cannot make their past known or allow their past to be known, for fear of repercussions. Um, I mean, I know of, for example, Lynn Conway, for years had to fly stealth, and finally came out when there was a retrospective written on some of the work she did, and she was thinking, okay, the past is identified with that, and I may be outed, so I'd better do it first. Um, and it was a big step for her, and happily it worked out. But that wasn't guaranteed. Foo, we can work that out, Purple. Um, let's see. Oh my word. Okay, I just did that. I'm going to ask: are we following each other on Twitter, Purple? That might be a Twitter DM might be a good place to initiate a discussion. Oh, God, Sue, that's. I wish I could do something about that because that's the last thing we need. Um, because there was one thing I did a couple of months ago in response to John MacArthur going off on, he's saying the transgendered state is not a real thing, and he's saying that we isolate ourselves and bring depression upon ourselves by what we're doing. And excuse me, sir. No, it's not us doing it to ourselves. People like you are doing it to us. You'd like to talk, Faye. Now, is that right now, or is that? Hey, how do you like that? Discord. Yes, Discord. And that's something else I've got to do. I have a Discord server, and I just am not. I haven't promoted it. Um, oh, for fuck's sake, Purple. That is horrible. Yeah, I guess that's one reason you don't want to be around small towns if you're not exactly mainstream, isn't it? Johnny, how the heck are you? You know what? Um, this is at about 90 minutes here, and it's at about the maximum length I like to run a live stream to get people to watch it. You guys mind if I set up you guys mind if I set up an after show and we can all migrate over there? Um, let's see here. I have to see how the heck I'm going to do this. Come on, brain. You've got to work. You've really got to work on this, brain. Um, yeah, it's the brain kind of broke. I'm trying to figure out how to do this, and it's not coming to me right away, and it's starting a panic. I don't know if any of you can see that, but I'm working on keeping it down. So I guess we're getting somewhere. Okay. There we go. Um, yeah, I can't see what's going on over there because I'm doing this stuff. But we can work on that. Okay, we've got that. We've got that. And then yeah, there we are. All right. So what we've got here is I'm going to put a link. There we are. Okay. There is the link to an after show. And what we can do here is we can kind of close up shop here. And if everybody doesn't mind migrating over, that way we can keep this to a reasonable length. And people will come back and look at it if they want to. And in the after show, we can just go crazy. How's that sound? Because yeah, with Johnny, it's great to have you. And I'll tell you what, I can even throw out some Faye. I have no idea why. Okay, that's all I can tell you. I have absolutely no idea why. But okay, so what we're gonna do here. Well, thanks for being here, Mark. Really, really, thank you. And yeah, what I'll do is I'll bring this one down, and if you want, we can go over to the new one. And as I say, that'll keep things tidy here, and we can just go nuts on the other one. Um, so I'm going to close this one up, And I want to thank everybody for being on this one. And I do want to mention something before I shut down, is I have started a Patreon, but I would like people to just kind of watch for the stuff I do before jumping all over the Patreon. Make sure it's going to be worth it to you um, to to throw me $1 or something like that. And please, when I say that, I mean it. And then I'll get around to promoting it. Okay, so that being the case, I'll see if we can move this over to the new one. And for everyone who is looking in the future, thanks for looking in. And take care, be good, and have fun. I know they're mutually exclusive. Do the best you can. Thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.